Hi, I'm Kay Warren, and I have been a pastor's wife for more than 41 years. And in that time, I feel like that my role as a pastor's wife moved from something that was constantly changing, and I used to call it the changing role of the pastor's wife, to there were some middle years where things got a little tough, and I thought of my life as how to keep the ministry from killing me. And then in this season of my life, I've really come to believe that being the wife of a pastor is a sacred privilege. And I love it. It doesn't mean it's always been easy. In fact, there have been some hard times along the way and some good times, but it's definitely, at the end of the day, a sacred privilege. If you are in ministry, you know that it's a very public life. And one of the questions that people always ask me is, how do you maintain a private life while you're living this very public life? They talk about that in ministry we live in a glass house, or that everybody knows your business. And so one of the things that I've learned all along the way was that you are entitled to a private life. Even though you live in a public space and your life is very public, you are entitled to a private life, but you're not entitled to private sin. And that's a really important distinction. So we've learned along the way how to have a private life, but we've also learned that we have to live with integrity. That this private life doesn't mean that we can have this huge gap between the way we live in our home and the way that we live out in public. And if I were going to give you a warning about that, it would be really careful. Yes, have a private life when it's just your family, when you don't have other people in, it's just the 3 of you or the 4 of you or the 6 of you or however many there are, and you're just a family building your relationship. But know that the stuff that happens sometimes in our private lives sometimes is really painful stuff. There may be some conflict, there may be some drug addiction, some alcohol abuse, there may be just all sorts of things that can create this gap between the way that we show ourselves out in public and the way that life really is in private. So if there gets to be too large of a gap between the way you really are and the way that you tell people you are, that's a time to kind of push the pause button in ministry and get some help. Don't ever be embarrassed to ask for help. Getting help is what will save you. It will save not only maybe your ministry, but your marriage, and save your kids. We're all broken people and we make bad choices sometimes. Sometimes we make choices out of our own woundedness. And you're going to be around other broken and wounded people. That's who populate a church, is other broken and wounded people who are in process, like I am, like you are. When Rick and I first got married, we just instantly were in trouble. We didn't know each other that well when we got married. It's a very long story, but the bottom line is we just didn't know each other very well and quickly descended into what I call marital hell. And Rick was a youth pastor. It was a time back in the 70s when people didn't get counseling, people didn't ask for help, people didn't seek help. Everybody was supposed to have a perfect relationship, and we didn't know what to do about it. And we finally, the pain exceeded our fear and our shame at how messed up we were, and we started some counseling with a really great Christian counselor, and he taught us how to communicate with each other, how to talk with each other, how to build our relationship. And when we started Saddleback, we thought to ourselves, we're not going to go back into that box of hiding and pretending. When we start our church, we're going to make sure from day one that everybody knows we are real people with real problems, that there are some days that we look at each other and think, wow, I married you. Wow, you're my soulmate, and we're kind of like stuck together for the rest of our lives. And then there are other days where we're like, oh man, you are the best thing that ever happened to me. Likewise in our relationship to God, that we weren't going to fake it, that we were going to acknowledge that there were times we felt like God didn't even exist and that our prayers weren't even getting above the roof, and other times we could just absolutely know that God was our stability, our security, and that we were going to be real about both our personal lives and the way that we were in our walk with God. I cannot encourage you too much to do that you're as real as you can be, that you don't be afraid to ask for help, and that you know that for the good of your family, of your marriage, and even of your church, that you will be real about what's going on and be honest, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I have loved being a pastor's wife mostly because of the changed lives. There is just nothing like the front row seat of being a part of people's lives in their most I don't know, their best moments and their worst moments because of this vantage point that we have of being up close and personal. We walk with people in their struggles and in their joys. And to see progress, to see somebody maybe who wasn't even a believer who comes to know Jesus Christ, and you get to follow them over years and decades, and you see them growing in Christ-likeness, you see their character changing, you see answers to prayer, miracles happen in their lives. There is just nothing like that, and I never get tired of it.
There are over 600,000 pastors in America. Half feel the demand of their calling is just too much. Over 30% feel the needs of the church go before the needs of the family. This Sunday, more than 400 pastors will resign because the role is just too overwhelming. We know that's not healthy, but hope is not lost. That's why we created Hope and Health Workshop. In this one-day workshop, you'll learn from an experienced coach, find the clarity you need to help your ministry spread like wildfire, and leave with practical tools that will unlock the secret to a healthy career in ministry. Your best days as a local church pastor are ahead.